Hi, and welcome to Selling in a Skirt with Judy Hoberman. I'm Judy. If you're a first-time listener, welcome. And if you're back for more, I'm so excited to see you. Selling in a Skirt is all about collaboration. It's all about connection, and it's all about cultivating those amazing relationships. What I love the most is about all the incredible women and men that I get to meet and talk about and talk to. So I want to make sure that what we do is we encourage the next generation of leaders so that they come on and they can share their brilliance with others. So today, it is my absolute great pleasure to introduce you to Elisa Ellis. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about her, and then I'm going to let her tell you. So she's a wardrobe stylist, a speaker, an author, an online course creator, and she works with successful business professionals and entrepreneurs. Her approach to personal styling is more than a wardrobe haul. It's a total transformation. We can all use that. And that helps you discover a version of yourself that you've never met before. She says style is a way to be unforgettable without saying a word. So I'm going to let her tell you a little bit about herself. So welcome, Elisa. We are so excited to have you here.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited about this.
Yeah, this is going to be amazing because there's so many things that we have in common, just at different sides of the puzzle.
Right.
So why don't you tell everybody who you are, what you do, and why you love what you do?
Sure. So I'm Elisa Ellis, and I'm a wardrobe stylist. I founded the company Turnkey Style, and I am really passionate about helping women of all sizes. I work with clients from 0 to 22 plus find more confidence. You know, there's this idea that you can't look good or feel good if you're a plus size or if you're this size, and really it's just all about making time for yourself and finding things that work for you and your body shape. And I really believe that that's possible when you go through your clothes, you figure out what you feel amazing in, and you start showing up for yourself. And I do that through closet edits, outfit coordination, personal shopping, branding, styling. It's really what they need and how I can help them. And it's really, truly transformative. I hear from clients all the time that afterwards, it's after working together, they really start to connect all the pieces. I can look good. I can find clothes that work for my body. I can wear different things, and I can have more confidence, which leads to so many great accomplishments.
Absolutely. And I mean, confidence used to be a taboo word, and now women are talking about it.
Yeah.
And it's something that we really have to get comfortable with, because otherwise, you know, you can see it. And when you're forcing it, you can see it.
Right.
But
absolutely.
as a wardrobe stylist, I know for a fact that, you know, going through your closet can be a little bit overwhelming.
Yes.
Even though we still have things that have labels and tags on it, and you still have things that you've never worn or things that you wear all the time. I know there's a whole thing, but I also know there's a backstory. I know there's a backstory. So what was the reason you decided to actually take this path and do, you know, turnkeystyle.com, which is your website?
Sure.
Like, why?
Yeah. So I was in corporate for 20 plus years. We had moved, we had some life changes. I used to travel a lot with my business. My husband traveled a lot, and we were just in a place where one of us, something had to give. And so I left my corporate job and I became a sales rep for a jewelry company, which I loved. And a lot of my clients were speakers, coaches, and they wanted me to help them style their jewelry with more than just what they were wearing on stage, right? So I did that. And my girlfriend all along, I would help her with her closet, clean out what wasn't working for her. And she told me, you really just need to do this for a living. And I was like, you're crazy. Like,
who would pay for it?
Yeah, who would pay for
Right.
it? But I was at a point in my life, you know, my kids were younger. I wasn't going to go back to your regular corporate job. So I'm like, why not? I'll give it a shot, see what happens. And just over time, I kept getting more clients, more referrals, more clients, more referrals. And it really resonated with people. I'm all about making style more accessible. You know, I think people think having a stylist is, I'm going to put you in something really avant-garde or something way out of your comfort zone, or it's a celebrity stylist. That's not what I do. I'm really more about helping you find pieces that work for your lifestyle, whether you're a mom of toddlers, a CEO, or both, and clothes that fit into every occasion within your budget.
Yeah, and I think that styles have changed, obviously,
Yes.
and times have changed,
Yes.
obviously. And, you know, it's interesting because, you know, most of us have been dressed from the waist up.
Yes.
You know, but you say that style is a way to be unforgettable without saying a word. And so how does that work?
I really believe that how you show up matters. And when you're showing up, whether it's a presentation, at work, with girlfriends, what have you, you can either you're either adding value, right? It all affects how you act, how you interact with others, and how others see you, right? So your style, what is that saying? Are you adding value, detracting value? Is it, if you're in a professional world or an entrepreneurial world, is someone going to want to work with you and be attracted to you? Or are they going to instantly look at you and say,
You're not for me.
no, not for me?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because that's happened, right?
Yeah,
absolutely.
Absolutely. And it's incredible how, the first time you see someone, and women do this more than men. Women look you up and down.
Oh,
much more than
absolutely.
men. Men, they stop at different portions.
Right.
But women are like, ooh, okay.
Yes.
So she's wearing, I wonder how much of those pearls are, or whatever. The shoes are really cool.
Right.
So it's been said that there's only one chance to make a first impression. And we know that it's so important. So what would you tell somebody, you're going into for a promotion, you're going in for a new job, you're going in to meet somebody for the very first time. What do you tell them? Do you tell them to just find the best thing in your closet and wear it? Or what do you do?
I really believe that when you put something on that you feel confident in, it's going to make all the difference in the world. I mean, I've had clients who pull things out of their closet and I'm like, oh, like really? But when they put it on, they just
Totally
beam
different,
and light up. Okay, so that's something great. But really take the time to figure out what that is for you. Is it a dress? Is it slacks? Is it a certain color? Is it throwing on a certain necklace or glasses? Whatever it is for you, figure out what that is, because you really should have 3 power outfits no matter what line of business you're in, whether you're making a presentation, whether you're going for an interview. It really makes a difference how you're showing up. I was reading this book called Q, and it talks about how when we put things on that we're not comfortable in or confident in, we do this.
Yes.
We literally cave in on ourselves.
Yes.
And I see this when working with clients. It's why I have them try on clothes. And when you put something on that you love, you stand taller. And it really makes a difference in whether you take risks, whether you speak up, whether you stand out, all of those little things that make such a difference.
And also, I think that when something is complicated, when you're putting something on, even though it's beautiful, it's got too many snaps or too many clips or too many of this, or you have to do this, or you're constantly tugging, you're moving over here.
Right.
And that's not where you want to be either.
No.
So do you look for that when somebody's putting something on? Or do you,
absolutely.
Because you have a different set of eyes than somebody else does.
Right, absolutely. I do presentations for corporate, and one of the things I share is there was this woman who paid to be on stage in front of a crowd full of 300 people. And she was constantly pulling at her outfit. And I was like, I have no idea what she was selling, because she was so uncomfortable in what she was wearing and her skin. And imagine if she'd taken 10 minutes to it could have been something plain, a plain blouse, a plain pair of slacks, or, it could have been anything, but something she felt comfortable and confident in. And it would have made such a huge difference. And a lot of people don't know what that is. So I encourage my clients, okay, let's try. If you don't like to wear pants, let's find you a skirt. If you don't like to wear pants or a skirt, let's find you a dress. It's all about trying different things.
And seeing what fits you.
I have clients that used to wear dresses all the time or suits. They don't want to do that anymore. They want to wear jeans and a blazer, or slacks, comfortable slacks and a blazer. They want blazers that are stretchy, or they, it's constantly evolving. Just because we wore something 10 years ago doesn't mean it's still going to work for us now.
And we all, our bodies change also as we get older. So something that looked great may not, and something that didn't.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
The interesting thing is, I was speaking last week, and it was one of those days that was bitter cold. I like beyond cold. And so I'm a layer person. I layer everything. But what I wanted to wear was this black, I'll call it a jumper, just because I can't think, it's not a dress, I don't know. And I put a turtleneck underneath it. And underneath the turtleneck, I had another layer, because I always get cold.
Sure.
What I found, though, when I put my jacket on, I wasn't comfortable because I couldn't move. So I ended up having to take the turtleneck off and put on a different, almost like a t-shirt underneath, just to keep me warm. And then all of a sudden I put the jacket on, I was like, oh, this is awesome.
So much better.
But I knew if I would have worn that, I would have been
uncomfortable.
Totally. And they all would have seen it.
Right. And that energy comes out. When you're uncomfortable, that's the energy you're putting out. Yeah. I mean, we truly, in this fast-paced world, have 5 to 15 seconds to make an impression. Right. It used to be, 30, 45?
And now I don't even think it's that long.
Yeah. I mean, it's crazy.
0.6.
Yeah. absolutely.
Yeah. Interesting. Okay, so we're going to talk about my favorite topic, which is women, which I'm pretty sure we're in alignment here.
Yes.
I like to talk about, the phrase that I like to use is being that the lonely leader. And the lonely leader to me is a woman that has gotten to a certain level. She doesn't know who she can trust. She doesn't know who she can talk to. She doesn't know who has a hidden agenda, but she's still trying to be authentic in her role. You talk about wearing something that is, an authentic style and to find that style. So a lot of these women are looking for that. Like it's not just showing up and looking beautiful. It's showing up and showing that you have impact and power and confidence. But what do you talk about when you say an authentic style?
So I have clients that were all different, some that are boho, some that are rocker, it's not my job to say, you should wear this.
Right.
It's about, okay, let's try this on and see if it fits you and your style, right? And what does that look like for you? Because the reality is I work with a lot of women who work with men, and they want to know what they should be wearing or what they can wear to feel more powerful, right? Because it's a thing, right? The lady was at a dinner last week. She says she gives presentations, and she went to give one, and she really wanted to wear something fun and stylish, but she ended up going with bland and boring because she didn't want to stand out. It was a room full of men. And I said, what would have happened if you would have wore something fun that you felt confident in, and that would have changed the way you gave the presentation, and it would have potentially made you more memorable? And she was like, oh,
didn't think of that.
Wow, right? So here she was trying to blend in, and she knows what she's comfortable in, but she was holding back and she was playing small.
But she already stood out. She already stood out because she was female.
Right.
So even if she
that's absolute.
But even if she wore something fun, she would have stood out a little bit more.
Right.
And a little bit in the right direction.
Right.
Because she already stood out.
Right. Yeah. For me, I think it's about finding ways to bring in color.
Yep.
Because it's been shown that when you wear different colors, that can definitely bring out different emotions, different creativity, different confidence, and all of that resonates as we're working with clients. When you don't show up authentically, it's just a transaction. It's a one and done. I'm moving on to the next person. Right. As opposed to, let me take some time to invest in myself and figure out what I love and how I can show up authentically. I listened to a stylist years ago who said if I was going to speak on stage, I should wear a sheath dress, heels, and nylons.
There you go.
That's not, you're not getting me in. Right. And you're not going to get me into nylons. I mean, I decided when I was 16, no, not going to happen. And sure, I could wear a dress, but that's not necessarily what I feel most comfortable in. And so if I would have walked across that stage, I would have been that person who was doing the little dance that, I was uncomfortable in my skin. So I really encourage my clients to figure out what that looks like. I have a client who does wear dark suits. She's a financial professional, but she wears funky shoes. Yeah. She loves shoes. And she feels that's how she shows her personality while still being professional.
Yeah.
I have some ladies that love to wear glasses or a fun pair of jewelry. It's a little different for everybody, but it's about experimenting and finding what that looks like for you, and then having those power outfits so that when you go and have those interactions that are really important to you, it shines through.
But that goes into personal branding also, because a lot of times if glasses are your thing, that's going to be part of your brand.
Sure.
And so when we talk about personal branding is what gives you distinction, and executive presence is how you express that distinction. So after a few years from working from home and everything else, people are coming back to the office or hybrid or whatever they're doing.
Right.
What can we expect people to look at them and perceive them as a leader from their personal brand? Because for me, I always wore black. I did, always wore black. And when I started using a pop of color, people were like, what's wrong? Something's different here.
But you stood out, and you were memorable.
But I also was uncomfortable about it. And so I did go back to black for a moment. And then a minute later, I said, well, you know what? I like wearing a pop of color here and there. And then people were like, oh, that looks good. And I don't know if I was looking for confirmation or what I was looking for, but what do you do? How do you get somebody to show up with personal brand that they can still be perceived as a leader, as opposed to, oh, that clown and she's wearing something crazy again?
So I'm all about classic style. If you want to be avant-garde, that's great. But I'm my honest opinion is, let's find what works for this environment that you're in, right?
Yep.
If you are in a professional and executive environment, it's less likely that you're going to want to have pink hair, right? So it's not going all over to the left, but like the financial client I had, she was more comfortable wearing dark suits. So I talk to my clients about clean lines. Okay, let's find clean lines and make sure things that are fitted and tailored. Because I've seen women spend loads of money on clothes, but they're ill-fitting, and they're not pressed. They just don't fit the body right. And so instead of looking like you've spent a lot of money, you look unprofessional because you're untailored and it looks sloppy. I also see women who try, as we get older and their body changes and they're not comfortable with their body, wearing things where they're constantly closing and doing this.
Right.
And it's because they're trying to hide
whatever
their
it
body,
is. That's
right?
right. Yep.
They buy things that are oversized. So let's try something that's fitted to give your body proportion. If you have brand colors, let's find things. Do you like your brand colors? Or is there something that's complementary to your brand color? Or is it just simply going to be a mug on the desk? Do you like wearing those colors? I just worked with a woman and she only wants to wear black, just like you said. That's what she's comfortable in. Okay, are you comfortable with a pop of color in a jacket or in a pin? What's going to make you memorable? I've come across women who wear pins. She was a lawyer and she wears pins. People were literally searching her out to see what pin she wanted.
Right.
It was something so simple. They wanted to see what she was wearing, and apparently she has a collection of 200 of them. Okay, it doesn't have to be. I used to know a realtor. He would roll the cuffs up on his sleeve, and it was a fun, funky print. It wasn't expensive. It was different, and so it made him stand out. And for women, it can be the same thing. How do you want to stand out? Because really, if you're wearing the same things over and over again, you're being glossed over. People stop paying attention.
Right.
Right? Nothing's changed otherwise.
It's boring.
It's boring. Yeah. And so it's about finding ways. I just had an international client. She sent me the most lovely email. She said that after working together, she went to a vintage store. She spent a few bucks on some jewelry, a few bucks on a new top. And she said what happened was she realized she could be beautiful, even though she was plus size. And she added a few, pieces of jewelry, a scarf here and there. And she said people started commenting. Her hairdresser told her she looked glamorous. Her postman said she looked stunning.
Right.
And it was just about her carrying herself different because she had more confidence. She had more belief in herself. And that whole self-image she didn't lose weight. She didn't spend a lot of money. And she didn't go out and buy a whole new wardrobe. She was using what she had. And it was just about making small shifts. And I think that can be such a powerful thing. You don't have to go out and buy a whole new wardrobe.
And I think that's what people are afraid of.
Yeah.
Okay, somebody's going to tell me I don't look good and I have to go and buy hundreds and hundreds of dollars worth of stuff.
Right.
But you know what? It's really kind of unfair because men can just change their tie and their socks. And it looks like a totally different.
Sure.
Yeah.
But I think there's really easy ways to create capsule wardrobes, right? Same idea.
Same thing.
3 tops, 3 bottoms, 3 layering pieces.
Right.
And if you have the right colors, the right color scheme, you can easily mix and match and change the look with a jacket, with a pair of jewelry, with a pair of earrings, a necklace, shoes, whatever that is for you. And it doesn't have to be expensive.
Yeah.
With men, yes, you change the tie, you change the socks, you change a belt.
It's just easy.
It's easy.
Yeah.
But it could be just as easy for women.
Yeah.
It's just about spending the time to
and
figure out what that is.
having somebody who's objective, saying to you, this really looks good on you, with that pin or whatever. But I want to say something else because we're all in sales. I mean, all of us are in sales. If you are a leader, you're selling an opportunity.
Yes.
If you are a salesperson, you're selling X, Y, and Z. But the purpose of sales is relationships.
Yes.
Right? Okay, not transactions.
Right.
And I do believe that, with women, a lot of the things that we're hoping is to have a relationship with someone else. So you talk about taking your style, your interaction from transactional to transformational. And that to me would be like transactional to relational in sales.
Right.
So tell us about what that looks like, taking something from transactional to transformational, because that's a big deal.
Sure. Well, and it's about showing up authentically, right?
Yeah.
I have a lot of clients who during the pandemic, post-pandemic, are trying to still do Zoom meetings in their Lululemons and t-shirts. I'm talking about women who have 6-7-figure businesses. So that to me is a disconnect, right? You are working with clients who are paying you a lot of money, but you're failing to show up, right? They're paying you to pay attention to their details,
right?
But you're not paying attention to your own details. So,
Interesting.
So I do this little challenge. It's the no legging challenge for 2 days, 3 days, whatever it is. You have to get up and get dressed in real clothes, whatever that looks like for you, right? Yeah. Oh
my
wow.
God, what happens next?
And what the women find is, and the men, I'm so much more productive. I feel better. I get, I have much better interactions with people, and they just have a different disposition altogether.
Yeah.
And so that really makes a difference. That's about finding what you're authentic in. And so really how you're showing up is different than if it's just a one-off transaction, right? I'm just here to get this done. It really doesn't matter to me. I've rolled out of bed for this meeting. There's a difference between that interaction and let me take some time, some preparation, show up authentically, and that's going to be a relationship, right? Because I've seen people, just like we talked about earlier, who don't take the time to show up and present themselves in their best light. And why do I want to do business with you, right?
Yeah.
So I'm not going to invest my time. I'm not going to invest in a relationship. So let's find pieces that you feel authentic in, whether it's wearing blue or wearing jeans. I mean, for years I wore jeans, a t-shirt, and a blazer, and I threw on some jewelry because that's how I feel and felt at the time comfortable. I didn't want to wear a dress. So over time that evolves. We also think sometimes, well, we wore that 10 years ago. We can still fit in it, so I should keep it.
Right. I think that's a big deal, though.
Right, because I invested in it. I spent money. I get it. I was in corporate. I spent a lot of money on clothes, shoes, bags. But here's the thing. It doesn't fit who you are energetically anymore.
Right.
It's not who you were. You aren't the same woman who you were 10 years ago, whether it's pre-baby, pre-divorce, pre-marriage, title, whatever. You're a different person now. And so you can let that go. And oftentimes that's what I'm there for, to give them permission to let it go and step boldly into their new position, their new life, their new level of professionalism.
Well, I know that you have hundreds and thousands of raving fans. I know you do. And and I've talked to people and they love what you do and they love how you do it. And so I'm just going to tell you what happened to me, and I want you to be able to say why you're so different. I went into a store and because my company is selling in a skirt, I always had to have like a million different skirts, even though it had nothing to do with the article of clothing, but it was my brand. So I wore my brand and I wear my brand. And so I go into the store and they have gorgeous skirts. And I put a whole bunch of them into the dressing room, and this, young salesperson said, I'll keep bringing them in for you and blah, blah, blah. Now, I'm not a big person. I'm a little person.
Yeah.
But sometimes even when you're little, things don't look good on you. And that's why everybody has this misconception.
Right.
Anyway, I'm trying on the skirt, and there's one that was incredibly horrible on me. I mean, worse than horrible. And she comes in, she goes, oh my God, this is so perfect. And I'm looking at her, I'm like, what? And she goes, you look so amazing in this skirt. And I didn't even walk out of the dressing room. I mean, because that's how horrible it was. And I looked at her, like really seriously, and I said, I want you to pretend that I'm either your best friend or your sister, and I want you to tell me the truth. And so she stopped, and I said, no, seriously, I'm going to buy skirts today. Just tell me the truth. And she goes, I don't like it. And I said, don't do that to anybody.
Yeah.
So I know your whole approach is different. Why are so many people, so many women, like clamoring to get to you? Because what do you do that's different?
Well, so like I said, I want it to be accessible. I don't want to put my clients in things that they're not comfortable in. And my whole thing is about being honest and having integrity, right? Yeah. I'm not going to tell you if something looks horrible on you. I'm going to say that's not the best
choice. Yes.
Like
yeah.
I recently worked with a client who's doing a photo shoot, right? She had a branding session. She put on this lovely dress, but it looked like a date night dress. So I asked her, okay, who's your market? Is your market women over 50, men younger than 40? Like, who are you trying
to impress?
Right? And she goes, well, really, my market's women over 50. Okay, well, that's a great dress on you for date night, not as a branding dress to market to all your clients, right? It just, wear it on date night, wear it with your girlfriends, but that's
not for your brand,
your branding shoot.
Yeah.
So it's all about being honest and having integrity and meeting clients where they're at. If you're not ready to do a whole wardrobe overhaul, that's okay. Let's just maybe find a couple of tops that you can integrate, right? I hear people say, oh, I want to have my colors done. But most often than not, the women I meet that have their colors done, oh, it's in a drawer somewhere. You know, like it's over and above what they can really work with in their everyday life. It's too much for them.
Yeah.
So let me meet you where you're at and let's work on that first.
I love that. I love that. You would never have let me wear that skirt. I can guarantee.
No.
I can guarantee. I mean, no. So tell me, like, what's the number one piece of advice that you would give to women in leadership positions? Like, whether they're leading themselves, leading a team, what would be the piece of advice that you would give to them to show up authentically, but to also be perceived as this leader that they're trying so hard to be, especially, you know, in a lot of the industries where they are one of the only females?
So I would say stop waiting. You know, I talk and work with so many women who are waiting to lose 10 pounds, waiting to be a size, waiting until a certain time or point in their life to invest in themselves. And so I say stop waiting. Invest in yourself now. Take the time to figure out what it is that you need to show up authentically, that makes you feel powerful, that helps you stand out. Because life is short and you want people to stare because you're stunning.
Right. And if they're working with you, you're going to be with them when they lose the 10 pounds anyway.
Exactly. More often than not, I'd say all of my clients that I've worked with, even when they've lost the weight and we've put those clothes aside, they realize that they don't want to be in those clothes anymore.
Right.
That's not who they are.
Right.
They've moved on and they're ready for bigger and greater things.
Awesome. I love that. I love that. You have a funny story or anything about somebody that you helped with?
A funny story.
Or a really impactful story.
You know, I recently just read a story in that book I was listening to, Q, and this gentleman said that he had a new job and he laid out all his clothes, he washed them, and he realized that morning that the sleeves on his shirts had shrunk. So he rolled them up, and that's how he wore all of his shirts that week. But what happened was people thought he was the roll the sleeves up type of guy and the go-getter. And so he started getting more work, more promotions, working with the CEO, and it all simply started by how he was presenting himself and showing up. And I just thought that was so fascinating because it's just proof that what you wear matters. And it's really integral in how you're perceived by other people and yourself. He then felt more confident to take more risks and work on more projects and do more things without asking for permission. And we should all be that way. Men and women.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. That's a great story.
Isn't that fascinating?
Yeah, I love that. I love that. Okay, so there's definitely going to be women and men too, but that are going to want to connect with you. What's the best way to connect with you?
You can find me at turnkeystyle.com, or you can find me on LinkedIn, Elisa Ellis.
Well, I am so excited to really get to know you more, and I was a little nervous coming here today, thinking like, oh my God, is she going to be okay with what I'm wearing? You know, it's funny, you know, people that do your hair and whatever, you walk in, you go, okay, this is okay.
You always look fabulous, though.
Thank you. You know, and I will say that, you know, going through the pandemic for 2 years, you know, from the waist up, and you're thinking, okay, well, what happens when I really have to get dressed? I mean, I didn't wear shoes for 2 years.
Right.
Basically.
Right.
And I would always have, because I'm a boot girl, and I always have my boots next to me, because people would say, do you have your boots on? I'm like, I don't wear boots in the house, but here they are. So, yeah, it's fun.
And they're great. They're great boots.
Thank you. But I'm so excited to get to know you better and, you know, support each other. So
absolutely.
It's been wonderful.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much.
This was fun.
Yeah. And thank you all for coming to tune in with us again this week. And we are excited to bring you amazing women and men every single time we're together. So until next time, we'll see you soon.